All right. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Let me know if you can hear me. Hopefully, I'm coming in loud and clear. We'll see. See, we got a bunch of people in chat. Thanks for hanging out. I've moved the time for this stream around a whole bunch, so I appreciate you all just kind of you stay, paying attention to the notifications and stuff and joining when you see I gone live. Appreciate that. People are saying 5x5. Thank you very much. Starlet in chat. Everyone give Starlet an '07 helping me helping me keep Starjump Fleet Viewer in line as she always does. Bunch of other people in chat. Nice to see you all. I see some raffle winners in chat. Soundwaves Ghosts. Soundwaves, have we sorted you out on your prize yet? Let me know, Soundwaves. If you haven't, I'll hit enter up today, and we'll get you sorted. We'll get you sorted on that. That won't be a problem. But let me know. It's been busy since he got back from the summit, so I wasn't sure if we got around to doling out that ship for you yet. But let me know, Soundwaves Ghosts, if that was taken care of. Thank you very much. Rest of you, nice to see you all. Not at this time. Okay, Soundwaves. I'm putting a note right here in my stuff to deal with that today. Okay, so we will get you sorted on that today. I appreciate you being patient. Let me just get it down here. Soundwaves Ghost, one of our raffle winners, which was really awesome. And I'm going to follow up with the other winners too. Just make sure that we're on track to give you all that and it's not, put to the side too long. So, okay. That being said, how is everybody? Hopefully, if you were hanging out with us last night for our Starjump Guardian stream, really appreciate it. It was a good time. Got to shine a little bit of the spotlight on Ender, which I think he appreciated, and obviously Starjump as a whole appreciates all his work towards charity. We're going to get right in it today. It's not going to be a super long stream. Couple top of show notes, though, and sorry if I'm coming in a little hot here. I got a little excitement going here, so I'm talking loud. We do have Starjump shorts coming. And to start off, they're going to be pulled from our longer form content. So some of my shipyard videos, the Kraken, Crucible, we're going to be pulling from that. I'm using some new software to do that, Opus Clip, and so far it seems to be working pretty well. I've got 5 shorts scheduled to deploy today. Every 2 hours, there's going to be a new short that goes out. These are all pulled from my Kraken video. So if you are subscribed to YouTube alerts or anything like that, and you see those pop up. Appreciate you hanging in there. Going forward, there'll be a normal part of any content release I do. But for the moment, there's going to be kind of a little bit of a glut of shorts coming in. So yeah, apologies. It's probably content you've all seen before already in our long form stuff. However, as you know, I am working on the Aegis Nautilus and Genesis Starliner ship videos right now, and those will launch when those actually premiere. They will premiere with their shorts intact as well, which is a weird way of saying that. So there's that. Obviously, we are doing St. Jude Play Live right now, as I've said on every stream for the month of April and on into the month of May. You can see we've raised $9,087 thanks to your generous donations, everyone. So thank you very much. There's also people in chat I know that have donated raffle prizes for those for that donation initiative. So really appreciate you as well. Lifetime funding goal lifetime fundraising milestone for Starjump Guardians at $25,530. So thank you very much for that. Really, really appreciate it. If you want to donate, again, I know I do this every stream, but that's kind of the way we do it. So I appreciate everyone hanging in there with it. Let me go back to here. If you want to donate and you're on YouTube, very easy to do. We got a follow there. Knowledge, Lambo. Thank you very much. Appreciate that follow. Always appreciate a good follow or subscribe or thumbs up. So thank you very much for that. If you're on YouTube and you want to donate to our St. Jude Play Live charity, just go ahead and hit that Tiltify link pinned to the top of chat. If you are over on Twitch, all you got to do is follow this donate bot that'll probably pop any second, and you can get on that. When you go to it, You will have the ability, let me turn on my left monitor here. You will be able to have the ability to donate towards a specific raffle. We have a Misc Fortune right now that'll be given away tomorrow, actually. There is a $15 donation to St. Jude through our Tiltify link required for that. I know I have 10 here. I do need to fix that and apparently keep forgetting. So it is a $15 donation. We'll get you a Misc Fortune ticket, and a $100 donation to St. Jude through our Tiltify link will get you a ticket to a RSI Polaris Corvette giveaway that we're doing on April 30th. Okay, so thank you very much. We still have a lot of content coming. And a lot of raffle prizes coming. Again, I've showed this many times here, but we have an additional Polaris Corvette coming up in May, an Anvil Carrot coming in May, an Aegis Gladius Valiant, Hurricane Hawk. A lot of stuff still coming. Bunkerfist donating $55 towards a Misc Fortune. Bunkerfist, thank you very much. Salute to you, buddy. Bunkerfist, one of our most talkative people in the Starjump Discord, which we really appreciate. Thank you very much. And then, what have we got here? Someone just gifted, Bunkerfist gifted 5 Tier 1 subs. Thank you very much. Rage One donated $15. Man, it is just rolling in. Let me get to some thank yous here. Bunkerfist, first of all, double salute for sending out those 5 gifted subs. Everyone give Bunkerfist a salute. That big old 007. Thank you very, very much. And then, of course, Rage One, who's donated multiple times to the charity endeavors, coming in with a $15 donation. And our good buddy Bunkerfist, who just gifted the tier subs, doing a $55 donation. So thank you all very much. Off to a great start today. And what are we going to get in today, folks? We're going to talk about life as a crew member aboard ships. We're going to talk a little bit about that. We may even jump at the PTU. I kind of want to check out the raft, but we'll see how time permits here. But yes, thank you all for hanging out today. Really appreciate it. Later today at 6 p.m., by the way, on the Info Runners show, if you haven't ever watched their content, you definitely should. I will be, let me see, Info Runners, do a shout out there on Twitch. I will be a guest on Info Runners along with Twispone at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. 6 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll be on there for a few hours, and I believe they're going to push the charity as well, and we're going to talk spaceships coming up for Invictus, so stay tuned for that. I was originally going to do a Starjump station today, but it does, because I'm doing the Info Runner show, I'm going to push that station episode to tomorrow, okay? Because it's going to be a little bit of the same topic. It's going to be ship related, and I didn't want to do the Info Runner show and then literally 30 minutes later stream again on the same topic. So that is that. All right. One other announcement. We've talked about the St. Jude Play Live stuff. Appreciate you bearing with me with that. Last thing I want to talk about real quick is Quantum Vegas 2955, Saturday, July 12th at Area 15 in Las Vegas, Nevada. Everyone, the discounted tickets are on sale right now, and this only lasts till April 30th, so only 5 more days to get on that inaugural ticket price of $75. After April 30th, it goes up to $99, and then in June, it will go up to $125. Spaces are limited, but it's really going to be a great program. They have a bunch of panels already listed out for this. There's some absolutely incredible people on that are scheduled as guests. We have DePoets, Kim and Nate Ellis from EE Studios. They're going to be guests on Starjump Station very soon. We have Sean Tracy, Senior Director of Tools and Tech Content at Cloud Imperium Games. We have Tyler Whitkin, also known as Xylo, and Galactico, also from Cloud Imperium, that will be there. Serious Fun is a moderator. Griffin Gaming RPG from Soul Citizens is a moderator. Astro Historian himself, Paul Shelley, will be there as a moderator as well. And yours truly, Starjump Grimm. So Starjump will be represented there. Buckerfist says, was it next SCL that was supposed to be a ship talk? I'm not sure. Is there supposed to be a ship talk on SCL next week? I'm assuming that's next week, right? Not this week. So yeah, there we go, everybody. We are going to dive into Starjump Fleet Viewer. What are we talking about? We are talking about life as a crew member, right? And that is something I've been thinking a lot about. So Bunkerfist says yes next week. Okay, great. So I'm imagining they're going to start peeling the curtain back a little bit on upcoming ships coming to behind the ships next week. Okay, great. I didn't realize that. That's awesome to see. I'm hoping that means they're going to peel the curtain back a little bit on some of the Invictus-bound ships that are hopefully coming. So Starlancer TAC, Guardian MX, Gray Cat MTX, stuff like that. So we will see. They could surprise us and do something. What's the other ship that's being rumored right now? Forget which one it is, but they could pull back the curtain and surprise us a little bit. Maybe it's information on the Ironclad, because we do know it's been in development. They also could just be pulling back the curtain on some ships that are currently in white box and progressing towards their towards gray box. We know some ships passed white box review not too awful long ago. Ships like the Perseus, for example. The Apollo. So again, some of that could be progressing. They could pull back the curtain on this Anvil Asgard ship that we've heard about, right? Or even the Anvil the Anvil Paladin. So there's actually a large. Fanman says he did say it would be about one of the ships coming at Invictus. Okay, cool. So it could be a wide range of ships that are coming. If I had to guess right off the top of my head, the 3 ships that are coming from Invictus, it'd be the Grey Cat MTX, which would be the small ship or the small vehicle, because I do think it's a vehicle. And I do think that's going to be the small thing that we get. I think it's a mobile ground-based armory. I'm speculating there. That's wild speculation. That's what I think it is. And the middle rung ship would be the Guardian MX. And then the bigger tier ship would be obviously the Starlancer attack. So those are the 3 tiers. Usually during these events, they do 3 tiers of ships. So that's sort of what I think it is. Actually, let me go ahead and bring up, if you all don't mind. Oops, I don't have that drive plugged in. Let's plug in that drive. I was not prepared today. And I'm back. There we go. Just a minute, folks. I'm just pulling up a drive right now. Just let it load here. There it is. Let me go to this folder. Should have had this all prepped. I apologize, everybody. Let me swing this over here and go to my... There we go. So that is what I think the Grey Cat MTX is, the Mobile Tactical Center, or the MTC, whatever they want to call it. Again, as I've said many times on this stream before, I think this is essentially a mobile armory, a mobile ground combat support vehicle. So it could carry lots of extra armor sets, extra weapon sets, stuff like that. Perhaps it has the ability to do more than that. I'm just not really sure. I don't see CIG bringing on a vehicle, though, right now that has new gameplay feature stuff attached to it. You know what I mean? I know a lot of people have said, oh, we want it to be some sort of ground-based command and control scanning thing. I don't see any of that coming because it's relying on a feature. It's relying on the next version of scanning. So there we go. That's what I think that is. I've talked a little bit about the Anvil Asgard. Again, I do believe it is a ship. I do believe it is a Valkyrie variant. I do believe some of the leaks and data mines that have come out about it, I am leaning towards that. But we can't forget this vehicle either. You know, CIG could be trying to fool us or troll us. This could end up being the Anvil Asgard for all we know. Again, I don't think it is, but it's possible. We know this is in development. CIG showed it off. And then, of course, the many other ships that could possibly come and surprise us. You know what I mean? I do believe this is the Guardian MX. Again, would be perfect for Invictus because it is combat focused. We've heard, you know, this ship here, which I think is undoubtedly a Drake Heavy fighter. I'm speculating wildly, but I think it's a Drake Heavy fighter. I know some people have claimed that they didn't see Drake elements here, but I've seen a few. The Apollo, which we know is the Apollo, has just went from white box review. I think is moving into gray box, so that ship still has a while, unfortunately. Starlancer attack, obviously, is what this is. I think this is going to be the big new ship for Invictus, as we've already said. Perseus has passed its white box review, is moving into gray box. However, they did say it is much further along than a typical ship moving into gray box because it's borrowing heavily from that RSI toolkit already. So we could get an update on that. Ironclad, the big question mark, the big mystery ship, obviously. We know it's been in development, or at least I have heard from very good sources that the ship has been in active development for some time. So it's really just getting an update on that and seeing if CIG is positioning this ship to come out sometime this year. They haven't said here or there. They just said that it's in production this year. So it depends on how much this ship is required. The only bit of tech I think that's really needed for this ship is the detachable command module component of it. So, obviously, Pioneer not coming this year, so don't need to worry about that. All right, so Bunkerfoot says, didn't they mention not bringing new features to the game until late this year at best in the last SCL? Yeah, I mean, they've said it multiple times. So I just think that if a ship is going drive ready or flight ready at Invictus, it's not going to come with any big kind of changes to gameplay or any. It's not going to come with any like big game defining stuff that would require CIG to put in like scanning version 2 or anything like that. We don't have anything right now that deals with, command and control elements on the battlefield. Again, I hope we do get that at some point, but we don't have it yet. I'm going to pop up some of this. Okay. So what we're talking about today, everyone, is ships and crew life aboard those ships. And we are going to jump in the PTU here shortly and take a look around, and that will sort of continue this conversation. But ultimately, I've been really thinking a lot about, oh, by the way, we only need one more follower, and we'll be at 3,300 followers. Only one more, literally one more on Twitch. But anyways, I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and ships continue to release with habitation elements, both beds, things like, oh, and there's that follow, Katana Blue. Thank you very much. You just pushed us to 3,300 followers on Twitch. Thank you very much, Katana. Salute to you. We'll see if we get a few more follows to push us past and a little bit deeper into that 3,300 number. So thank you very, very much. Appreciate that. So they bring all these ships out with all this stuff. Hey, Crimson Hawk Moth. Hope you're well. They bring all these ships on with all these crew supporting facilities on board, and it's not a minor thing. I mean, there's definitely some ships that lean very heavily into their habitation areas, right? There's some ships where a predominant amount of their space is in habitation, right? I've already said it before. I'm actually going to bring it up if I can find it. That take ships like, let's just take a ship like the Polaris. The entire, let's go to a top-down view. In the Polaris, the entire starboard side over here is dedicated to habitation, right? The living quarters. The entire port side over here in this area is dedicated almost exclusively to habitation, like in terms of like communal areas, relaxation areas, eating areas, all that, right? So two big chunks of the ship, you could almost take this entire quadrant right here and block it off for habitation just in general, right? And then the rest of the ship is sort of set aside for crew duties, right? So there's the entire engineering backend section, there's medical, there's the brig. We'll go into the brig here in a minute. And then obviously cockpit and stuff like that. But again, when you think about it, there's quite a bit of this ship that is dedicated to just people and there's not their spare time, but their life aboard the ship, right? We got the captain's quarters as well. It's another one. And you can apply that all out to almost every ship, right? Think about the MSR. If you took away habitation and the communal, like the kitchen area and hangout area, if you took those away, the ship doesn't have a lot inside. And while CIG has talked a lot about, making QT travel times longer, and I think I've read in the past a little bit about making some of the engineering duties be required during longer journeys and stuff. We were still under that idea that we were going to be jumping long distance in the longer distances in the game, and whatever it is going to be 20 30 systems, and that kind of long distance would be required. You'd need your crews, a place for your crews to be able to hang out and do things. But now that CIG is focused on 5 systems for the launch of 1.0, being Stanton, Pyro, Nyx, Castra, and Terra. And I would imagine there would be one route among those systems that does require you to go through all 5 systems. That's still the maximum distance of travel, right? At least for a long period of time. And we should just focus on 1.0, not, not 1.4 and 1.8 and all that. So there's sort of two real questions we got to ask ourselves. Is one, is crew habitation and entertainment and all that, is that actually going to be a gameplay loop, and or is it just there for the role play kind of purposes of the ship? Because obviously CIG could have built these without those areas and just made more armories and stuff like that. I personally think they are going to lean into this a little bit more, and with things like additional persistence and stuff coming into the game, the fact once we get to 1.0 there's no reset, you won't be able to just kill yourself and respawn easily, and and everything is going to persist a lot more intrinsically to how to your overall characters, like what do they call that again, the Death of a Spaceman kind of system, right? You're going to want to preserve your character to some degree. It's going to be, I think people are going to utilize their ships more as homes, right? Or places to exist and survive while they're traveling the far reaches of space, right? So with that, I wanted to think a little bit about, and this is kind of going into a video that I'm doing now on the Genesis Starliner. And the Starliner, the E1, ships like that, Stefan says, anything good said? No, Stefan, not anything real good. You didn't miss much. But thanks for joining us. But with ships like the passenger travel ships, right? 600i touring, 890 jump, 600i touring, whatever. Sorry, did I say that? Yeah. The E1, Genesis Starliner, stuff like that. I do think that eating, or essentially actor status tier 2, so eating, hygiene, being able to go to the restroom stuff, I do think that's going to be a gameplay loop. I think it's going to be a soft gameplay loop, though. One that you have to participate in, but it's not to earn money or anything. It's really primarily just to survive and keep your stats high, right? So Signal Mod, thank you very much for that. Appreciate that follow. So the actor status tier 2 stuff, or the actor status stuff, is a part of this, right? That's one component. But the other part of it is should crew members, and we're saying player controlled crew members, should crew members always be busy on the ship while it's in flight, or should they have places just to chill out and stuff? So I think, because again, this does go into the value proposition on some of these ships. Some of these ships, for example, cost a little bit more because of their ability to carry more people. They have bigger habitation areas. They are meant for touring, all that kind of stuff. So the question is should crew members aboard your ship, let's put the passengers aside for a minute, should crew members aboard your ship always be busy during flight, or should there be downtime? Let's start with that question. And chat, feel free to voice your own opinions there as well. Aiden on YouTube says, let's see here. Let's see, Invictus flight right now. Aiden says, I'm going to buy the Ironclad when Invictus happens. So do you think it might be flight ready at Invictus or in the next patch? I don't know, Aiden. I would be speculating pretty wildly. I do think we'll know soon. I'm starting to lean towards not being an Invictus ship. I want to be wrong. But I'm starting to lean to it not being an Invictus ship. So Gaming says there should always be something available to do, not necessarily have to be busy. Right. So Stefan Hebert says there's always downtime unless in combat situation. So let's take each of that. Let's talk about the bridge for a minute, right? So bridge duties on a ship like the Polaris. When this ship is in normal flight, right now, it really just requires the pilot, right? It just requires the pilot. But in the future, we would hope that there is 2 other primary roles on the bridge that are needed. Okay, one of those would be the radar operator or scanning operator. Essentially, to always be scanning, and the only reason you would want to take that duty away from the client as it is now is if scanning becomes a much more active gameplay loop, right? Where active things have to be done, analyzation has to be done, decrypting of encrypted signals needs to be done, right? So scanning, obviously we'll have our passive radar systems, but there needs to be active scanning too, especially for things like patrol ships and industrial ships and stuff like that. So what is that active scanning gameplay look like? And we do know that they are working on more deeper scanning mechanics. So that needs to happen. It needs to be enough of a lift that the pilot doesn't want to be distracted by it, right? So when you're thinking about is CIG going to make a certain role useful, it's based off how active the role needs to be, okay, and versus how passive it is. Dayron Bolton on YouTube says crew duties should focus more on the combat side. Navigational and travel should just be to maintain or repair components. Fair statement. Intermodal says I think crew members should have scheduled jobs. So yes, some downtime when requirements are satisfied. So yeah, I mean, again, the validation of those other roles needs to primarily be centered around how passive or active they are. So let's say you're flying your Polaris into an active area, and I see Cody Fox is reading my mind here. Let's say you're flying your Polaris into an active combat zone, right? So you're flying into Pyro, you're coming through the jump gates. Let's say we're in Star Citizen 1.0. We know that it's dangerous out there, right? We know that there's a high likelihood that a big pirate org or something is operating near the jump gate, the Stanton jump gate in Pyro. Well, that would necessitate a very active radar scanner crew member aboard the Polaris working on the bridge. We fly into an area. The pilot needs to be concerned with not hitting an asteroid floating around there because it's a pretty dense asteroid field there. Also needs to be keeping an eye on the passive radar systems to see if there's any ships in the area. But the active radar scanner can be doing deeper scans, looking for hostile targets, tagging them so that they then pop up for the other bridge crew members, right? Because right now we have a clutter of icons on our screen. It's one of the worst parts of Star Citizen to me. But imagine a scanning operator who can tag the most hostile threats or potential threats, and then that's what people see. Maybe they see that in a specific highlighted color while the rest are more like half opacity, right? Um, Cody Fox says scanning for mines. Yeah, so and some of that could be scanning for mines. Some of that scanning operator could be scanning. You fly into Pyro, and they say, "Oh, I'm detecting a minefield of 20 mines." In front of us. So then the pilot can focus purely on taking a completely different route or whatever, while the scanning operator is tagging those mines so the pilot can see them visually, or see their approximate locations visually. Um, another role is the role of the co-pilot, and this one has always been kind of interesting to me. What is the role of the co-pilot in Star Citizen? So in normal flight operations, the co-pilot has a very busy job. For one of the main things they do is operate the radio, like on an airliner or something. Generally, it's the co-pilot is doing all the communications with the tower and stuff, and the pilot is acting on those communications sent by the co-pilot. The reason is so that the pilot can focus on flying the aircraft while the pilot deals with, or the co-pilot deals with, communication, navigation, and stuff like that. And I think that in Star Citizen, the co-pilot role should be delegated to those duties as well. So it essentially would be the right hand of the pilot. Now, a pilot could, in calm space, out in, thank you, Stefan, appreciate it. Co-pilot, radio, navigation, and route planning, exactly. So I think in calm space, like if you're flying through Stanton, a pilot probably would be able to mostly handle all the duties, no problem. I think flying into a Pyro or a Nix or any sort of area where there's a contested situation going on, I could see the co-pilot really, their job really becoming active, right? Handling all the radio communication, ATC communication. We still don't know what further communication with a broader fleet would look like. Say you're flying with a larger fleet. Maybe the co-pilot is the one dishing out information to the broader fleet, right? But handling things like route navigation, so being able to access a start map, plan maybe even a primary route and a secondary route and send both of those to the pilot's HUD. Again, it would be nice if some of these other bridge roles can decide what information is going to the pilot's HUD. Now, maybe the pilot can have all those tagged or flagged as being visible, but maybe they can also, if they really trust those crew members, maybe they're part of their org or something, there could be a way to tag that information where a pilot can sort of get fed the most important priority-based information. I think that would personally be really cool. Bingo says, radar and scanning should be a fairly intensive tasking. That's why I have a super tracker on the Polaris. Need the backseater to be effective. Yeah, so, I mean, ultimately, that's what I hope as well. So what I hope, this is kind of my dream of Star Citizen in its computer blades versus crew member roles. What I want is for 70% of Star Citizen to be played with minimal crew and a heavy reliance on computer blades to operate core ship function, right? So scanning and whatever. Maybe some remote turrets, all that kind of stuff. However, I think having and I think that should do it to a certain level of efficacy, right? And that should be, again, I think like 60% of, maybe 70% of Star Citizen should be that way. There should be 30% of Star Citizen that if you attempt to do it with computer blades, you are going to suffer and find a bigger challenge. Okay, that could be flying through a combat zone and trying to rely on your remote turrets controlled by the computer blades could be risky. So 60 to 70% of Star Citizen should be able to be done by computer blades, minimal crew, where that 30%, where you really need to push the boundaries of your performance metrics, I think should be player-based and thus you really need to lean on a wider crew complement. That I think would be a pretty good balance ultimately. And it would apply to everything. So you could go out, for example, let's say you were in a Polaris and you were doing a patrol, right? And let's say you decide to do a patrol around an asteroid field in Nix, okay? If you had just AI, let's say you just had a buddy or two on your Polaris with you. Maybe he's down in the torpedo room, and you have another one who's tending the hangar is going to get in a fighter that you're carrying in your hangar. Computer blades should be able to scan the area you're going into passively, send you that information passively, not curated for you, but just passively give you the information it's scanning. Computer blades should be able to do that decently. They should be able to, again, I think, see and detect 60% what is out there. What they shouldn't be able to detect are stealth ships or people actively doing things to reduce their signatures, right? And that level would require a human scanning operator to be able to adjust the frequency, the band, narrow that band on the search frequency to scan targets that are hidden, right? So again, you can do a lot with just a standard computer blade, but adding the computer component will give you deeper depth, which I know is kind of a weird thing to say, deeper depth within that particular gameplay loop. Agent 1213 says, I want AI crew walking around my ship, only interest in the game for me. So Agent 1213, it sounds like you are one of those people that were probably a little disappointed in the fact that CIG came out and said that AI crewmates, NPC crewmates will not launch with Star Citizen 1.0. And for that, I will say that I still think they're coming, and I think they'll come soon after 1.0. But let's see. I think ultimately AI crewmates, this is my opinion, Agent, and I hope I'm wrong, actually. I really hope I'm wrong. The AI crewmates, I think, are going to be glorified computer blades, right? And be able to do some stuff that computer blades can't do. But I think they're going to be mostly glorified computer blades. The whole AI NPCs, crewmates, they're going to live and die by one thing. They're going to live and die by their AI routines and their pathing. I'm still semi concerned that they are not going to be able to accurately find their way around ships as well as they should. I see them getting stuck on things. There's a lot of ships with a lot of weird internal geometry, and I see a time when those AI NPC crews come on board ships where it's gonna be kind of rough for them. That's what I see. Now I'd love to be wrong. I see CIG having to do a lot of nips and tucks on ships in order to retrofit them for better NPC crew, movement. But we'll have to see. Bunkerfist says, "Don't you think they'll just clip through the geometry to get where they're going?" Maybe, but remember, we've had instances in the past where items clip through geometry only to destroy the ship. So I don't know if that's a great idea. Intermodal says, "Computer bladed turrets should require the players to flag targets as friend or foe prior to taking actions." I like that, Intermodal. I think that would be pretty cool. He says this would provide a decent handicap in initial engagements. I think that's a great point. And it's again, I used that word earlier, but essentially the player, the real player doing the role versus the computer blade or any sort of AI, the real player doing it brings a level of curating to the information, right? Which I think could be really clutch, especially in bigger combat scenarios. Bingo says computer blades that require sustenance and morale catering. Yeah, exactly. Let's see here. Slave Gunner says you'll probably need to assign the AI NPC to a station, and he will be the glorified AI blade. Yeah, I think that's what it is, Slave. But we have heard that even if you assigned an AI crewmate to a turret, they still are supposed to have downtime. And chat, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but hasn't CIG talked about in the past that AI crewmate would require downtime because they deal with the same stuff that the player would deal with: hygiene, needing to eat, needing to rest or whatever. Shimpasta says, "Yep," because I think I've heard that too. So you're going to see AI in your habitation areas. Again, I think that's a good thing, but I'm just saying that they're not going to be just like at their station you assign them to and then not moving around. So it's just something to keep in mind. Just something to keep in mind. Crimson Hawk says it does work. A majority of the planning and reward is based on a group you're with. Been able to do a lot of large scale ops with large crews thanks to proper planning. Well, you bring up the next big thing, actually, Crimson Hawk, which is, and we're going to stay on the bridge crew here, but also with the eventual engineering crew, right? And that is, we need proper planning tools within the game. And we saw a little bit about the social stuff coming to the mobiGlas, so things like the party and orgs screens and stuff. But what we did not see on there was any sort of command and control or tasking screen or planning screen. Again, I don't know where that would totally be accessed. Maybe it's accessed via the ship consoles. I personally think it could also be done via mobiGlas, but a way to pull together a group of people. Yes, you're a party, but you're on a ship, and be able to give tasking to those players via that party console, right? And maybe that is something we'll see. But for example, if I have a player who's working engineering, even without sending a radio communication to them, it would be nice to, in the mobiGlas, in our party app, it'd be nice to be able to put tasking, engineering, and then that person does engineering. But if I need them to come up to the bridge to fill a role, I can just change their tasking. They'll get the notification and they'll do it. Because while you could just speak and say it, if you got, let's say you do have a situation where you're rolling with a javelin and you got 30 people, 40 people on board, there's going to be a lot of talking anyway. So for some of that stuff to cut through, some sort of notification system. In Arma 3, we used a mod called Blue Force Tracker, Blue Force Tracker, CTAB. And through that, we had a notification setting where we could almost send direct messages to other members without doing radio comms. That was also clutch in situations where radio communication had broken down for various reasons. So, Shady Face says NPCs need to be paid. That's right. Artemis, hope you're well. Um, let's see here. Yes, Artemis, Cyrodiil's been awesome so far. Let's see here. So anyway, crew members, they do need to have something to do, and then that takes us back to habitation and stuff. Let's say if you with your Polaris, and what do we have listed as the Polaris as a crew count of 12? That's accurate to whatever CIG has on the RSI website, by the way. So let's say you do have a crew of 12 on there. Does that mean 6 of them are on duty and 6 of them are off duty? What happens if half of your crew decide through AI that it's time for them to rest? They're tired, right? Do they then go to the habitation modules, lay down the bed, all that stuff? Also, who assigns shifts? When you have an AI crewmate, can you assign them hour blocks of time? If that is the case, do we have a proper time metric in the game for a day? You see how these things start to really pile up when you're dealing with AI crewmates, because they're going to dictate themselves off the parameters of the game world. Unlike a player who may just say, "Oh, it's 10:50 Eastern right now. That's what I'm basing my gameplay on." How do the crewmates base their their cycle on that? If you go back to the games like Oblivion, I remember when Oblivion launched, Bethesda went on and on about how how the actual NPCs used a real daily schedule, right, to get through the ship, or sorry, to get through the day, not the ship, to get through their time. They would go to bed, they'd wake up in the morning, they go do their duties, they go do a job, they come back at the end of the day, they lay down. They kind of knew the day cycle. Obviously, just running off the game world's clock, so to speak. So figuring out how that's represented in Star Citizen, I think, will be really, really interesting, right? So yeah, it's an interesting topic. And then let's say if you walk back and you see half your crew sitting in the kitchen area enjoying a meal, maybe chatting, right? Maybe that's your NPC crew. Are you going to be able to go in there as captain and click on them or interact with them and tell them, hey, you need to get back to work, right? Now, if they were like, well, if is the NPC crew able to say, well, I'm off duty? Are you able to say, well, now you're back on duty, I need you to push it, we're going into a combat area? You know what I mean? So again, just knowing how that's going to work. Yeah, Slave Gunner says, especially if there's not really a day cycle in a universal multiple worlds. Exactly. So we need some sort of time metric that can exist outside the rotation of these planets, right? Sort of like how Star Trek does it. We need a time metric that exists without that, and that we can utilize for how to schedule these NPC crews, because we know they have to rest. So that alone tells us there is an on-duty time and an off-duty time, right? So Shimpasta says, I wonder if CIG has thought about star time. Probably. I would hope so. Stefan says, now you're getting into crew morale. Make them overwork and they mutiny. Well, again, yeah, there you go. We're going into the next big thing, right? And this only gets worse, by the way, when you go to bigger ships, right? And then even bigger ships, right? So let's go here. Let me select all, go to top-down view. Okay. This, again, only gets worse as you kind of go up this ladder of ship size with bigger and bigger crews involved. You eventually get to a point where, you could get to a Javelin, and you may have, let's say your Javelin, you have 10 of your friends on, so it's 10 of you from your org, real players, and then let's say you have 30 NPC crew members on board. Okay, you're dealing with a pretty big group there, and what you could consider in that world, you almost would consider, I think, your player crew members as your skeleton crew, right? Your core group, your core gameplay group, and then the AI crew members at that point, the AI NPC crew members are essentially support roles throughout the ship, right? Crimson Hawk says, now that we know now that we know players can build and fly cruisers, escort carriers, and carriers, yeah, they definitely have to have some sort of intership tasking communications app for the different stations, positions of the ship assigned from the bridge. Exactly. And again, I don't know how CIG would want to refer to this. Is it some sort of command and control app, or is that more fleet based? But essentially, the goings on of a ship. How do we control that? Right? Is there going to be some app on our MobiGlass again that allows us to manipulate the ongoing stuff within our ship? We know we have the engineering console, right? We know we have that, and that engineering console is going to be able to control a lot of stuff on the ship. Not only just engineering duties, but we're going to be able to control rooms. We're going to be able to vent atmosphere. We're going to be able to lock doors. All that stuff through the engineering console. So already there's a console on the ship that can dictate a lot of the goings and going ons of the actual ship functions. But we need something that can do the same for crew members. And ultimately, I think that is a MobiGlass app. In that MobiGlass app, we do need to be able to utilize that anywhere on the ship. By anybody. We need permission set for it. So, for example, when you board a ship, let's say I'm running a Javelin, and all of you in chat are coming on board, to board the Javelin to act as crewmates. When you come on board the ship, what I would like is when I first get on the ship, I link my MobiGlass ship app to the ship I'm on, right? So I link it to the Javelin. And then I go ahead and can choose all the roles that are available for tasking. So engineer, turret gunner, cargo operator, co-pilot, scanner, all that stuff. And even for each one of those taskings, I can put someone with a rating in those jobs of a certain, 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever, right? Because we know we're going to have rating proficiency in tasking. Then, as people walk on board the ship, they attach their ship app to the Javelin. Now, since they do not own the Javelin, it automatically knows they're a crew member, not the captain. And when they connect their MobiGlass app to it, it would list all the available taskings. They can choose a tasking that they want to do that their rating qualifies them for. And then once they do that, that updates on the captain's app as well and says, "Oh, okay, someone just took on a turreting role." Now I can go in and as captain, or commander could manually change that if I want. If I wanted to switch someone from turret to engineer support or whatever, but it'd be cool if there was some sort of system like that that allowed people as they get on board to task themselves to a role on the ship. Does that make sense? And yeah, you're right, Citizen Dex. That interface would likely only be accessible by certain people. Exactly. So there'd be a ship permission sort of thing. We already know there's going to be org permissions through org ranks. But what CIG did not go into is, I guess we could call it a party. I hope CIG doesn't refer to it as a party. I think a party could just be a group of players that are playing together, but they could be doing different things and different ships or whatever. I think they should come up with this idea of the crew, right? A crew, essentially. And that a crew is specifically a group of people operating aboard a single ship. Okay? And that crew, and that maybe that is what it is. It's a MobiGlass app for the crew. And it's tied to a specific ship. When you all leave that ship or getting off of it, well, actually, or anywhere, you can disconnect your MobiGlass app, your crew app. You can disconnect it from that ship, and essentially it removes you as a crew member of that ship at that point. So does that make sense? Argo Raft says, "Agree with you, Graham. Limited access to different crew." Yeah. That's kind of how I see it, though. I think that an app like that is what we need. I know Starlet in chat has been thinking long and hard about this. Starlet, we need to get back to talking about that stuff. I know Starlight has some big ideas centered around crews and Star Citizen, something she's been actively thinking about. Um, Crimson Hawk says they did say a while ago that ship permissions will be a thing. Yep. Certain permissions get you through certain doors, etc. This might be problematic, but I'm sure there'll be workarounds, i.e., request permission to get through restricted doors, etc. Yeah, I've heard that too. I really hope we hear more about that as these bigger ships are starting to come online. I hope CIG will start getting more into that. Ultimately, I don't think anything like that can come on board until we have the social apps and until we have because the social apps are going to come with permission or ranks and permissions for people. And then also we need engineering in the game, I think, to be able to control a ship to that granularity. So, real quick, everybody, I'm actually going to launch the PTU real quick here. I want to see if my raft is in the game. I wanted to check out something with the raft real quick. But yeah, I mean, this is a really interesting conversation and one I think that CIG should address at some point because, again, I think it has it's going to have a major, major impact on how we multi-crew ships. They've talked all about ships and multi-crew in terms of, this person doing this thing and this person doing this thing, but they haven't talked very much about how we're going to control that, how we as captains are going to deal with that. And that is, to sort of go back to it all, that is the role of the captain. That's the captain gameplay loop. I didn't say pilot, because remember, you can have a pilot. I'm talking about the captain gameplay loop. That is something we have not heard about. We've heard the fantasy of it, and we know that CIG recognize that there's a sort of a fantasy behind it, but we really haven't heard much about what they vision, what the vision for the role of the captain is, and I think we need that. Crimson Hawk says, question, you've said that the new Idris M rework in Squadron 42 will be applied to all Idris models. Do you think the same applies to the F8C models or reflect the Squadron 42 FAA models? No, I think the F8C is just the civilian variant of the FAA, so I think those are two different variants. The Idris M, though, and the difference between the FAA and the F8C, it's pretty minor. I mean, it's small little things. It's enough that it makes a difference, but it's still kind of small. The difference between the Idris in Squadron 42 and the Idris that we see in game currently is pretty big, exterior-wise. I'm talking exterior-wise. Internally, I think it's the same ship, but externally, it is a massive difference. I just think the Idris has gotten a glow up. I think it's gotten just a lot of new work to bring it up to par with ships like the Polaris and stuff. And I do think CIG at some point is going to pull back the curtain on the Idris and the Javelin's new exterior, and we're going to get that in game as well when we get those two ships. Now, that does not mean that when the Idris comes out, it won't first come out with the old model. It may. We don't really know. But I hope it doesn't. I hope they come out with the new one. Honestly, I hope we get an Inside Star Citizen behind the ships at some point where they focus on that and show us those new exteriors. So, Yo says there's an Idris P on the changes. Is there any Idris P in game? We haven't seen it in game, but there is a model reference for it. I don't know if anyone's been able to pull the model, though, yet. It could just be a model reference file and the model's actually not in the game, but there is a model reference file. We do know that there's actually multiple Idris P and Idris K, actually. Idris P and Idris K code entities found in the game files even just recently. So, and that's actually one of the biggest reasons that I think it's something interesting is happening with the Idris. Again, I'm not saying it's going flight ready anytime soon, but some stuff is obviously happening behind the scenes. I would expect during Invictus, we'll have John Crew probably talk about the Idris a bit. He may not talk about the Javelin much, but I do think John Crew is going to talk about the Idris at Invictus to some degree. Give us some sort of update. At least I hope. Am I going to make it? Yes, I made it. Crimson Hawk says, Invictus launch week can't come fast enough. I agree. Stefan Ever says, are the Idris K-Pack PDCs replacing the manned turrets? I never understood that one. I'm also don't 100% know. I'll be honest with you. The Idris M, Idris P, Idris K stuff has always been a little confusing to me. It wouldn't shock me if CIG updates some of that even for the PU. I'm not saying the Idris is going to get upgunned. The PDCs alone, I think, are going to make a big difference. I saw a video the other day that I think someone counted in chat. I could be wrong, but I think they counted like 12 to 14 PDCs on the Idris. Maybe it's 12 PDCs on the Idris. So, you know, we'll have to see. But I personally see CIG making some revisions to the Idris. Both the M, K, and P to better fit the balance of the PUs. So some of those stats could change. Hey, Fluox. Hopefully I said that right again. I would love some news on the Perseus. Maybe not a release date, but at least an update where it's currently at. We might get that at Invictus. Flu, we very well might get it at Invictus. We know that it's progressed visually. It's past its white box review and into gray box, and CIG did specifically say that it's a little further along visually than a ship normally would be going into gray box because they're utilizing the RSI kit. It'll be up to CIG if they give us an update. There's really no better place to give us an update on the Perseus than Invictus, so I'm really hoping we get that update. I really do. Shimpasa says, do you feel PDCs should only target missiles and not ships as well? I think they should. I'd be fine with them only targeting missiles. I'd be fine with it. Missiles and torpedoes. Ships. You know, Shimpasa, I haven't really totally thought about that. I guess I need to think about that a little bit. Actually, I think I would be okay with them targeting ships, but I think I would want them to prioritize missiles and torpedoes over ships. Let's see here. Shimpasta says people are apparently soloing the Polaris and PDC shoot down all ships. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's not good. That's not good. Hell, maybe there needs to be an appropriate crew member on board to operate PDC usage, right? To control them from getting overheated, because I definitely think that should be a thing, overheating of PDCs. And Cinnamon, hopefully I said that right. I kind of agree with him there. What if PDCs were ballistic? That'd be really interesting, right? If they were ballistic and had a limited usage, right? And you sort of just turn them on when it's time to turn them on, but not before. You know what I mean? If you're flying an area, you could tell one of your crew members, "Hey, activate the PDCs." You know what I mean? Yeah, I think that could definitely be a thing. I'd be down with that. I think that's a good idea. Everyone, I wanted to check out my raft. I wanted to see the changes to it because I actually have not checked out the changes to it yet. So I was going to do that really quick if I have a tractor beam, which I apparently don't. Do I really not have a tractor beam? Why doesn't all my stuff come over? That's so annoying. Guess I don't. Okay. Let's go ahead and bring it up. I wanted to see if I even have it. Ah, there it is. Let's go ahead and bring that up. I don't have a tractor beam attachment. Stupid. Will it bring my ship up? Something's not working here, people. Oh, I delivered it. There we go. Player managed PDCs is a great idea. Yeah, I agree. Clean. I think a player, and this could be co-pilot. It could be, weapons officer, something like that, to control PDCs, and heat management and stuff like that, or even rearming them. Rearming them. Dan Hoffman says the Expanse. They only had ballistic guns. Exactly. I like the idea of player-controlled friend or foe tagging for PDCs as well. I think that will come because we know that's coming for like space mines and stuff. Rose player managed PDCs are already in game. They're called turrets. Oh yeah, well that's true. Yeah. But I still think the automated. Well, I think the discussion though is more around: do those automated systems, should they have some player interaction? I think they have to make crews mean something. You know what I mean? So imagine this. Yes, so to man 5 turrets, it requires 5 crew members, right? To man 5 man turrets. But if you had 5 PDCs, one player could do it, but you still need one player because they need to manage the heat and all that kind of stuff, and arming them, friend or foe tagging, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to check out the raft changes here, everyone. I don't have any boxes or whatchamacallit, tractor beam module for my gun, but it's okay. I wanted to see it here. Okay, so there's the tractor beam mounted there. I almost wonder if they had to put it on a rotating arm. Would have been better. And then this is the new grid right here, which I do like. I think they were obviously removed the arms. I think this was the better choice here. And this is something I could see them even expanding out to even larger ships. '90 says, do you think the mines from the Nautilus will be able to move with thrusters? I think they just use electromagnetic, like, stuff. I don't know if it's I think they literally are just magnetized, but they can magnetize over long distance. At least that's the way it looks, but I'm not 100% sure. So everyone, I repurchased this ship. Well, not repurchased. I got it with credits, but I've always wanted an Argo ship. There's just no Argo ship that does what I need it to do. However, with the SCU capacity increase on this ship, I was like, okay, fine, and the ability for it to carry more unique arrangements of boxes, I was like, okay, maybe this now is an Argo ship I can utilize. So I wanted to check it out a little bit. How do you get into the ship? That's my next question. Okay, there we go. Okay, let's go to the lower deck here. Yeah, Argo ships do have really good interiors. That's why I was desperate to have one. I do really like Argo ships. I just could not find one that... I owned the SRV, but even the SRV ended up being a little disappointing to me, to be quite honest with you. Okay, there's habitation, airlock. Let's get that. I mean, it's such a cool little habitation area. Can look out the back at the cargo. Yeah, I dig it. Oops. I love the lived-in feel of this. This is really cool. What is this here? This is suit lockers? Armory? Yeah, armory and suit lockers. Ladder up to the upper level. I like that stuff is right by habitation. That's really cool. Obviously 2 bunks. This is that side airlock. Oh, right. That front airlock, yep. And then this is the elevator, and this is over to the bridge. Very cool. I like the Argo bridge. I tell you, there's a big part of me that is still like, man, I want the Pioneer to look like an Argo ship on the interior, but we'll have to see where CIG takes Consolidated Outland industrial interiors. I saw in that one show they did, they utilized a lot of yellow, like heavy industrial yellow stuff, or yellow color. I do hope they do that. I think that's really cool. Okay, here's engineering. This will obviously be an engineering terminal. And okay, there's our lift there, avionics, stuff like that. I've got a couple buttons here. Okay, these are more components here. I like the little engineering rooms. Cool, it's small, it's concise. Did the ship get, did it get fire extinguishers or anything yet? It did not. I do wonder with resource management coming, are they doing yet another pass of all ships with fire hydrants and everything? I don't know. Or fire extinguishers. Fire hydrants. Oh my god, I'm an idiot. Here is a support station with the tractor beams. Let's see here. Power on. Is this how I get into the, is this where you do the, tractor beam? Oh, it was there? Okay, cool. Thanks, alright. Oh, yeah, see it right there. Cool. Can you access the tractor beam? Or is it by the co-pilot seat? I hope it's not the it should be this seat right here. I don't know, I don't see a button for it though. I don't see any button here, unless I'm just missing it. Enter remote turret. I don't see it. Where is it? Is there a dashboard button for it? Next to the power button? Oh, there it was. It just wasn't lit up. Thank you. Okay, here we go. There it is. Oh, CIG, you gotta get better with these tractor beam graphics. They're so puny. Yeah, I think this should just be on an arm so that it can stick out a little bit and off to the side. And then honestly, it's probably not bad. But I do think you need to be able to like put it on some sort of arm where it can extend out and then yeah, I think that would work pretty well. Oops. Did I go there? Did I just exit the ship? Yes, I did. And back up. Yeah, it's probably that Vandal contest they have going on, right? Probably the Vandal contest. Okay, we are powered up here. Okay, and again, I just want to take off a little bit, see how she does. She is heavy. Oops. She is heavy, but she does fly pretty well. Gears up, but still maintains that, and then obviously you can go VTOL as well, right? Yeah. Oops. I really like the sounds, actually. Whoa. It's got some sway to it. Yeah, I dig it. I mean, I dig the way it carries cargo. So the tractor beam on the ship is pretty useless. Is that what everyone's saying? Well, Crimson Hawk, that's exactly what we've been doing on our shipyard episode last Tuesday. Is we're working on that Argo Capital ship. Fan made one, so hopefully CIG will get inspired. Let's go to the back here. I mean, essentially what I think needs to happen is the tractor beam, there just needs to be a long arm there that the tractor beam is attached to. It pulls out and then swings over to the side, so your tractor beam would actually be more about here, but above me, so like right up there. And then from there, it can grab boxes and rotate those boxes around to store them here without too many issues. An arm like the CL. Yeah, exactly, Walker. That's exactly what it needs. An arm like the CL. I dig it, though. Again, like I said, this is kind of my first Argo ship. I'm digging it so far. I love the look and the design of it. It's a nice size, especially for what it carries. It's got a fantastic interior. I dig it. Yeah, I dig it a lot. I would love for Argo to make a ship that can carry the ATLS. And essentially what they could do is could be a ship like this, but like right off here on the side, there could be a ramp that comes down to just a small little internal garage, and you can just walk your ATLS up in it and store it inside. I think that would be totally fine. Let's see here. Crimson Hawk Moss says, question, there's a lot of work being done on the Pioneer. Do you think we'll see it this year with minimal functionality? No, I don't. I think it's a next year ship, Crimson. I'm a big fan of the Pioneer. I do own one. Next to the Kraken, it is my most anticipated ship. And probably from a functionality standpoint, it's my most excited ship. Like, the ship I'm most excited for. So I don't say this lightly when I say it's probably a next year ship. Yeah, it's probably a next year ship. I think the Pioneer, it's not even just that it's a big ship, of which it is. It is a, actually, let me bring up, bear with me here, everyone. One minute. And by the way, everybody, thank you for your donations today. We had some incredible donations today, and I really appreciate that. Tibbles, Bunker Fist, Rage One, all of you coming in with those donations. Thank you very much. Again, use the Tiltify link if you can to do your donations to St. Jude. Again, we have some incredible raffles going away, including a Miss Fortune we're giving away tomorrow with that. Let me bring up... Bear with me. Bear with me, everyone. Let me... I'm trying something here for the first time. I'm trying studio mode. Okay, let me transition. There we go. Did that update? Yes, it did. Okay, cool. But, the Pioneer, besides being just an incredibly big ship, 247 meters long is the new scale of it. I mean, you can see that here next to the Kraken and even the Javelin. This is a big one. This is a very big ship. Aside from it just being a very big ship, unlike a lot of other big ships, this ship comes jam-packed with stuff we do not have in the game currently. And I can just list those out. Ground extractors for ground resources in the legs. Yes, they could launch the ship without that, but it's just a thing that, again, we don't have in game yet. There is the fabrication hangar inside of it. We don't have that. We don't have any of the UI that goes along with any of those consoles or the functionality at all. We do not have fabrication machines, the little vending machines that are, of which this ship has 4 of them. We also do not have... what was the other thing? Oh, we don't really have a hangar. No, we do actually. We have the, I believe it's the 890 Jump, right? Has a landing pad that transitions from exterior to interior, right? The 890 has that, right? And then, of course, yeah, you nailed it, Cody Fox, drones. This ship relies on drones to do its primary gameplay. We don't even have drones yet. So that's why this ship is still a ways off. Carly Nova, thank you very much for that follow, sending the Javelin overhead in all of its glory. Really appreciate that. And there's also, so again, those are just the things right off the top of my head. Those are big things too. Drone support, fabrication, and ground extractors. We need all those things for this ship to operate at peak efficiency. Everything else on the ship's stuff that we currently have in game to some degree. So yeah, it's Carly Nova says it still has one of the coolest bridges of any capital, I believe. Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I think the Pioneer and the Kraken, to me, in my opinion, have two of the coolest bridges in the game. I would probably put the Idris and Javelin right behind those. But yeah, I mean, the Kraken has a cool bridge because you are overseeing a deck where flight operations are going to happen. You're going to see ships landing and taking off from those pads. So that's cool. The bridge of the Pioneer, the bridge of the Javelin, the Idris, those have bridges, and I would say the Perseus and Galaxy as well. Those are bridges where you're looking out over your ship. That's always cool. Again, I put the Kraken a notch above only because you're looking out over an active flight deck. So you're looking out over the ship, but also an active flight deck, right? So, yes, everyone. So, pretty cool for sure. I mean, it's an interesting conversation. A lot of you have brought up some really good points. I'm actually going to rewatch this VOD later today, and I'm going to pull some of the points that some of you brought up because I think they're really, really interesting. Fluox says, what about the BMM bridge? Yeah, I mean, that's probably one. They did show us the BMM bridge, though, in one of the white box videos. You don't actually see a lot of the ship. So I think for that one, it's going to be a little bit more challenging to see things is like you would the Idris and Javelin, but we'll see once it goes through redesign. Once it goes through redesign, we'll see how much that hangs up. But yes, everyone, I told you it was going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. That's because I'm going to go get my daughter today and take her out for a little bit of a daddy-daughter day. I'm really looking forward to it. She is going to start streaming with me, by the way. For any of you that saw our Minecraft stream we did the other day, we did Bean Boozle. She had an absolute blast. So I've started a family channel on YouTube Kids. For those of you with kids or like family content, I'll definitely spread the word on that. Very soon, not right now, but very soon. But we're going to start doing some like daddy-daughter gaming content together. She absolutely had a blast. Everyone that was in chat that night, by the way, were so awesome and sweet. So I really appreciate that. But she just loved it. She loved it. So we're going to do that, and hopefully we can kind of get her an audience built up. So I don't know if any of you all have kids that watch YouTube Kids or whatever. But obviously we'll try to get her going in it. I think she'll have a lot of fun. Don't forget, 6 p.m. tonight Eastern, I'll be on the Info Runners. Don't forget to watch that. Trispone will be on there as well. We'll be talking all about Invictus ships. So if you want to talk about Invictus ships, that'll be the show to watch. And then tomorrow, Starjump Station. Actually, we might do something different. We'll see. I got to talk to Ender, but I know we're doing the Misc Fortune giveaway, so maybe we can do something kind of fun. But there we go, everybody. I hope you had a great time. I'm going to send you over to a good friend of mine, Citizen Spooner. Make sure when you get over there, you give him a little bit of love. Follow the Tiltify links to donate to St. Jude. Really appreciate all the donations today, everyone. You're legendary. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Hope you all have a great day, and you will probably see me. I'll tell you this. After the Info Runner stream, I may stream again. So just heads up. So stay tuned to the Twitter, stay tuned to the announcements, and talk to you all soon. Have a good one.